Good evening, everyone, and today we are going to learn about shell programming. But before we dwell into what is really shell programming and how we will use it to make our lives easier, we need to know a little bit about what is a shell. A shell is a command line interpreter that provides a user interface for accessing an operating system services. Now, you might wonder why we need to do this. So basically, user can interact with this user interface and type commands in the command prompt to manage repetitive tasks and automate those tasks to make their lives easier and optimize the system to reduce the RAM usage, increase efficiency, and optimize the overall processing. This is the major role of shell programming and a shell in computing. Now that we know a little bit about what is a shell, we will discuss what is shell programming. Now you might wonder, uh, how does one automate things with shell? So in shell programming, we learn how to automate tasks and manage system operations using a command line interpreter, again, which is known as a shell. A command line interpreter is a shell. Now we have different types of shells. There are different shell types which are commonly called as bash, C shell, and Bourne shell. Now again, these shell types are different from each other, and each one has specific pros and cons. The first one is Bourne Again shell, which is most widely used shell on Unix-like systems, and it has rich capabilities and functions. Then we have Bourne shell. It is original Unix shell, and it is simpler and more portable but less feature rich in compared to Bash shell. Then we have Z shell. It is advanced and user friendly. Features like spell checking, improve auto completion, and theme support is there in Z shell. And then we have CHS and KSH, which is Conch shell and C shell. These are certain types of shells which one can use according to their preference and needs. But for me and for the users, I would suggest you should use Bourne shell for the starters, as it is given in the Linux and the functioning is basic, and you need to learn the basics to learn the other type of shells so you can get hands down on the shell programming approach. Now you have different roles in operation. You have automation. Okay, what does automation means? Automation means the repetitive tasks like backups, file management, and system monitoring shall be done automatically by the operating system by using the command prompt window on shell. Then we have system administration. It will administrate the system, managing its resources, account, and permissions. You have process and text management, and then you have networking. So these are some basic functions which is used to automate tasks, manage system operations efficiently, and increase the efficiency, reduce RAM usage, and streamline. Now, what else do you have? You have basic shell commands. There are many different types of basic shell commands, such as you have remove files or directories permanently from the system, RM. Then you have ls, list directory contents to view files and folders within the current location. Just like you have different commands in C or keywords in C language or C++, you have different commands in shell or bash language or Linux or Unix. So RM is used to remove files, ls is used to list the directory contents to view files and folders, MB is used to move or rename the file and directories to reorganize or change the names. CD is used to change the directory to navigate between folders or directories. Again, these are interlinked. If I want to change the directory and go to some other directory or move file, I will use cd command, then I will move the file, and then I will rename that file. And if I want to duplicate it to another directory, I will use cp command, then cd command, and go to other directory. And I can also use to display the current directory path by pwd. This can be used to go back to that directory which you have already defined and edit the contents of that directory. And this is a really handy and useful command. Now, writing your first shell script is, we need to understand it like a C program, again, C or C++ program. You need to open the text editor, like you open Turbo C++. Then you will type in certain commands and write the commands according to your need and execute it. First you save it and then you execute it. So when you save it, you need to make the file executable, and then you need to run the file So it will execute in terminal and then it will display the functions you have written according to the input you provide. Similarly, when you save a file in C, you can execute it anytime you want. There is a similar concept here. You just save the file here, make it executable, and run it whenever you want. And the commands which you are writing, make sure that the file name is appropriate, like myscript.sh. It shouldn't have any ambiguity, otherwise you will have a hard time figuring out where is the location of the file and what name you have saved it with. So it should be according to the topic you are doing, like addition, so it should be like addition of two numbers. It should be saved like something like that. It should be according to your needs. Now, variable and data types. Just like in C, we store a variable in we give a variable a certain address, which is a memory location where data can be stored in a variable. So how do we define a variable? So the syntax in shell programming of defining a variable is variable name equal to value. Then we access a variable by using the syntax $variable name, which is address of variable name. Now shell scripting supports various data types, strings, numbers, and arrays. Similarly, in C language, we have different data types such as strings, numbers, and arrays. We can have an example such as this. Like if I want to store my name, I can use the variable name equal to Lakshya and print echo hello address of name. So it will print hello Lakshya because the address of name is equal to Lakshya, which means that at the memory location name, my name has been stored. So it will print hello Laksh. Now control structures. These are similar to C2. We have conditional statements like if, elif, and else to control the program flow based on the specified conditions. Like if I want to print A is greater than B, only if the value of A is greater than B, then I will write if A is greater than B, then print A is greater than B. So it will print that. Suppose if B is greater than A, then it will not print that, and then it will go to the line below that statement and execute those following lines and skipping the line which is in that conditional statement. Then you can use loop to execute repetitive tasks efficiently until a specific condition is met, like for or while loop. You can combine these two features to uh, do certain tasks. Like suppose if I want to print my name 5 times, but it will not print until and unless my name is greater than the size of 5. So I will type in the string, and then if the string size is greater than 5, it will print my name 5 times, else it will not print my name. It will come out of the loop and the code will exit with 1. Now we have defining functions such as like we need to define functions in shell script just like we define the functions in C. So how do you define a function? Basically, first you declare the function by writing its name. Then you put the definition of the function in. Like certain parameters can be used to define a function. So it will print that according to the commands you have provided. Then you call the functions when you simply need to use that function. Example of defining a function can be, suppose you write a function greet and then it is defined to display a greeting message with provided input parameter. Now I need to execute that function. So I call the function. It is invoked with an parameter Lakshya. So it will display hello Laksh. Just like in C. You can relate the topics so your concepts will improve accordingly. Now you have useful shell script examples. You have user creation automation. So basically, we all know how the Google and different websites suggest us random passwords. So the process of creating new user account with a password, it will automatically randomly generate different passwords for you. Again, it is a repetitive task which can be handled by shell scripting. So basically, in those types of tasks, shell scripting use. And in creating a new user account with a new password, also shell scripting is used to automate it instead of doing it manually again and again and again. Then you have a backup script to compress and archive a specified directory. Then you have disk usage monitoring script to monitor the disk usage and save the output to a text file. This helps to monitor how much space you have used and optimize it accordingly. Then you have best practices in shell programming. Use meaningful variable names. So your variable name should be meaningful and according to the code you are writing. Then you need to comment on your code and handle your errors gracefully, which means you should learn error handling mechanisms to prevent script failures, because there are chances of running into many script failures while programming in languages such as Linux and Unix, because these languages are really case sensitive and you need to write whatever you are writing should be correct and organized. You need to organize your code with functions. You need to break it down to increase the modularity so it becomes easier to understand and one error will not disrupt the whole code. Your test scripts should be safe and it should be conducted in the testing should be conducted in an environment friendly manner where the environment is safe and no outside ambiguity is breaching your security. Then you need to follow certain coding standards to promote stability and uniformity and code quality, so your shell program will be of standards. This is all about shell programming and its basics, and thank you for listening to it. But before we end this and conclude this whole thing, we have another thing to do, is actually doing a code. Now we have this JS Linux. Now what we will do is we will make the code executable. So we will save the file first by pressing Ctrl O, and the file is saved now. Now to make the code executable, we have to write chmod plus x, then the name of my script, script.sh. So now it is executable. I will just simply type my script.sh. Now I will type my name in, and as you can see, it has printed hello Laksh, and it has not given us any exception because I have written hello Laksh and it is not an empty string, so it has written hello Laksh. Now let us see what it does when I write an empty string. So I will write it again. I will go into my file again, my code file, which is script.sh. So I am here again and I will just press enter, and it says you did not enter a name. So this is introduction to shell programming with me, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.